Coach.
And my name's Rob Roberts, the voice of the Northern Kentucky Bulldogs. We bring you the first weekly installment of Bulldogs Weekly, where we'll sit down with Coach Bray and select players as well. And start off week one, we'll bring in Coach Bray here. 20-6, good opening victory overall. Let's give your opening thoughts to your first victory of the season.
We did a lot of things well for it to be our first time out. We made some mistakes, but overall I thought we did pretty well. Our offensive line gelling together. We had 176 yards, I believe it was, rushing, and the offensive line didn't allow a sack. So that was awesome for our first time out.
Able to get 5.8 yards on the ground. Very good. The passing game, the numbers weren't very good. Well, let's first talk about T.J. Brown, the starter. He's 4 of 8, but he also had 3 drops. He could have had a couple touchdowns there as well. Talk about how he led the offense.
Outstanding job by TJ. We wanted to give him as much work as we thought he was going to need. We wanted to get a decent look at him, make sure that he understood the offense. I think he played about a quarter and a half and did some really good things, engineering a couple of drives for us.
Now, the bread and butter has always been defense. That's what the extreme, the Bulldogs have been known for. You only give up 74 yards on the ground. It's 2.7 a carry. You only give up 80 yards through the air. You have to be very pleased with your defense after game one.
Well, defense always picks up, I think, a little bit before offense does. But when you have veteran leadership, like guys like Neal, who's back for his 3rd year, and James Jackson, you know, those guys are leaders at linebacker. And we're just playing really good right now, I think, defensively in our 3rd year together.
Now, everybody talks about offense and defense, but how about the special teams? You score off your special teams with the veteran, Rodney Stone. Talk about what he means to this team.
We're not who we are without Rodney. Rodney is a great defensive player, and then every time he touches the ball, whether it's a kickoff return or a punt return, we all gasp because we're waiting for a big play from him, and he gave us one last week.
Now, you were able to get some good quality snaps to your backup quarterback. So let's talk about Dean and Burton and what you saw from them and what they can learn upon about that experience.
Well, Devin Burton is a young quarterback, rookie quarterback who's never played minor professional football before. And he struggled early on, but it was good to see him start to come out of that. We had to adjust some things offensively, allow him to do what he does best, and that's run the football. And I thought overall I would have gave him a C for that night. Dean, on the other hand, has missed quite a few practice sessions this year, and it showed in his performance.
Now, you were able to get 4 running backs, 5 carries more, including Burton. He's more of a runner than a pure thrower, so you had to be pleased with the fact that you were able to get multiple guys carrying, and yet you get Eddie Bane the rest that he needs. It's going to be a long season, especially since he missed the 2000.
Well, Eddie is also coming off of a major knee injury 2 seasons ago, so we need quality backs to be able to step in and have confidence in those guys to be able to carry the load when Eddie needs that breather. So it's great to have to be 4 deep at running back this year.
Not to leave anybody out, but how about the play of James Jackson? Not only did he have 5 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, he had 2 sacks and an interception. Not too bad out of your linebacker.
Not too bad at all, considering that James missed a lot of indoor camp this year. He's still fighting to get into shape by game time. And I mentioned him a little while ago. Leaders like James, like Neal, like Rodney Stone, those guys are the core of what we do defensively. So when those guys play well, we win football games.
Now, it all wasn't pretty. You had 3 fumbles, fortunately lost 1, but the one thing that you're going to harp upon the next couple weeks for your next game, and we'll talk about that in the last segment, is 9 penalties for 81 yards. We've been talking about that the last couple seasons, how you need to cut back on those penalties.
Yeah, as a head coach, you kind of expect those things, though, Rob, in your first outing. Guys starting in jail together. You have 3 different quarterbacks with a different way of calling their cadence. So you're going to get those type of situations in your first outing, but we're hoping to improve those things as we get ready to open up next week.
Another good stat you guys had, 3rd down percentage, 7 of 15. Your first game, 3 different quarterbacks, had to be happy with the 47% completion on 3rd down.
Well, again, you know, it goes back to our offensive line. Those 6 guys that played for us last week really did an outstanding job helping me to gain confidence in our ability to run the ball, giving our young quarterbacks enough time to find the receivers. It all starts with those guys in the trenches, guys like Ronnie Newman.
Okay, we're going to step aside for a couple moments. We're going to grab a couple players, and then before we get out of here, we'll have Coach Bray's closing thoughts here on Bulldogs Weekly. Back with segment 2 here of Bulldogs Weekly. I'm with Bulldogs starting running back Eddie Bane, coming off a little over a quarter and a half of performance last week. Let's talk about your overall reactions to the first week, yourself, and then the team overall.
Last week was just So preseason game is not too much we can say or do about it, man. We just looking forward to going on with our backs. That's all I can say.
You get 2 weeks off before you start against the Cincinnati Falcons. Talk about your mental preparation, physical preparation for the next 2 weeks as you get ready for the regular season.
The mental starts out here. I got basically it's about 6 of us, 6 backs. And when I say backs, I'm just talking about us running backs. Although I respect my receivers and my line, but us backs, we all stay focused. We stay together, stay pretty cool. Still, our ritual is just one play, one down, one go. Let's get into the end zone.
Now, last year you were able to set the single-season rushing record. Now, what are your goals and what do you set for this season?
For this season, I really want to try. I like to set my bar high and expect to get more than what I got out last year. So last year I ended up with about 700 some yards. Rushingly, I want to get about 1,400. I would like to get 2, but I'm not going to get that. I would like to get about 1,300 down. As a running back core, I think that we're going to try to go for 3. That's our goal as a whole running back core.
Now, you guys had some key additions this offseason. How do you think the addition of T.J. Brown is going to help not only vertically, but also with you in the running game?
Well, it's a really good question. All I know is that we're just going to do what we do best, man. Just run the ball like we know how to run the ball. Hopefully our receivers are going to complete these passes that they're supposed to be completing, and we won't have to worry about nothing. So everything's going to be a threat, no matter which way, if it's on the ground or if it's in the air.
It has to help having a defense like you have, too, that basically, when you come off the field, there's a pretty good chance it's going to be a 3 and out. You're going to be right back on the field to get even more touches. You have to appreciate it having a defense like that.
I always respect my defense. Out here I don't, but during game time I do. I play around with them. They know I do. They know I love them. But as far as that, when game time comes, we a family, just regardless, no matter where we at. Even if I'm on the streets and I see any one of my players, I stop and say hi to them, speak to them, talk to them. If they bring their kids or they have their kids, I talk to their kids, because to me it's all about being a family.
Let's talk about you off the field a little bit, your interest. What along with that, what kind of pregame rituals do you have?
Off the field, really? I really have none. Just off the field I don't. But once we get on the field, it's on the green. That's where everything just kicks in.
All right, one last question before we get you out of here. A couple years ago, team owner Mike gave me an analogy of him and Coach Bray. He said they're like a husband and wife team. Now, which one do you think is the husband and which one do you think is the wife between Mike and Coach Bray?
I don't know, because pretty much Mike's wife bitches him out all the time. So I would have to say Mike's the wife and Bray's the man of the relationship. That's how I would say it, but hell, I don't know.
All right, for Eddie Bane, until next segment, we're going to grab Chris Farley, the quarterback's coach. Then we'll go back to segment 3 here on Bulldogs Weekly. I'm with the quarterback's coach, Chris Hicks. Chris, let's talk about your overall assessment of how you think the quarterback's did
I'd like to see more completions. I think with TJ, getting him in a rhythm, especially his first year in this offense, is key. And we accomplished some things. He looked good in the pocket, had some good throws, had some drops that I would like back. Our young guys, they're getting there. I'm looking forward to their development. They grasp the system. I think Devin, number 12, I think he's got some good promise. And what can I say about Dean? I'll continue to coach him if he continues to make practice.
Well, in regard to TJ, it has to be nice to coach somebody who has that much talent. Talk about 3-year starter, Butler, Mr. Everything in the state of Indiana before he went there. And we saw what he did last year, a few games with the Stallions as well. The team he's looking forward to playing against this year. It has to be nice to coach such a great talent as well.
Being a second-year coach, it's amazing. Coming from him and then Mark Shibby, it's drastically 2 different styles. But with his talent, his skill set, his smarts, and his arm, he's perfect with this offense, and as a young coach, I get a chance to learn a little bit from some guy who has some experience, so it's great for both sides.
Now, speaking of your official job as quarterback's coach, let's talk about the minor league system. Coaches do multiple things. Let's talk about what else you have your hands on in here with the Bulldogs.
I'm a huge morale coach. I like to consider myself a player's coach. I want to be here for the guys, pick them up, do anything I can to help the organization. That's shagging balls or picking up stuff or running scout. I'm learning the offensive system myself and learning the coaching style of Coach Bray at the same time. So I'm a jack of all trades with this team. I'm in it to win it, and I support every guy on this football team.
last season you were able to do some offensive play calls in the last game of the year. Some went good, some didn't go so well. But talk about how you enjoyed that part of it.
I look forward to it. That Falcons game was actually circled on my calendar before the season started as my time to push for some play calling. I took a little heat for it, but it was exciting. I loved the opportunity, and you see me on the sidelines. I'm enthusiastic, so it was a blast, and I can't wait for the season to start.
Now let's talk about not only off the field, but your pregame rituals. What you do in the pregame to get yourself ready for game time.
I come in 2 hours early. I walk around. We just walk the field, talk with a couple of guys. I drink a Red Bull, have a little bit of a snack. I get the guys warmed up for the first go around, and then I put my earphones on. I look over the playbook, talk with my quarterbacks, get in their heads, get in their ears, reiterate conversations that we've had, and just I become one of the guys then, and I get ready to go to battle.
Now, one last thing before we get to that, I want to ask everybody the same question at the end every year. 2 years ago, Mike Christianger, who was the owner, made a comment to me. He said, him and Coach Bray are a husband and wife team. Which one do you think is the husband, and which one do you think is the wife in this relationship?
That's a loaded question.
You know your coaching future depends on this answer.
I believe that knowing the two that I respect both of them and love both of them and they're friends, this is Coach Bray's team. So you can just fill in the blanks.
The politically correct answer is no comment.
No comment. This is Coach Bray's team.
Second year, you'll start learning a job. So for Chris Hicks, we'll be back in a couple of moments, and we'll finish up with Coach Bray and get you guys set for another bye week. Back with Coach Bray here for the final episode of Bulldogs Weekly. We appreciate the coach taking time out. Coming off that very good opening win, but now you have 2 weeks off before you play your first 10 in what you like to call a conference game. You got the Falcons coming over to Newport. So talk about what you guys are going to work on these 2 weeks heading into that game.
Well, we have to become consistent in everything that we do offensively. Defensively, we have to be sure tacklers. We're going to work really hard on staying on sides on the defensive side and getting off of the field when we've got third down situations.
Now, it was a luxury on one hand, able to give your starters a rest, but now you got 2 weeks off. So how do you worry about the chemistry and then your starters also being able to have their endurance to be able to go for 4 quarters on opening night?
Well, this week will be especially important for us. We'll be in equipment all this week, making sure that those guys are staying hydrated, make sure that they're doing the things that they need to do as we approach game time. Next week, we'll just walk through some things to make sure everybody's healthy and try to prevent injury going into that first game.
All right. Until next week, for Coach Bray, I am Rob Roberts.